I think there might be one person who watches this, and I appreciate you. So it's something where today's video, I am going to be doing a strength training. Last time was cardio, and that whooped my ass. It took me about twice as long as my previous personal best. But it makes sense because I haven't been very fit, haven't been exercising at all, and I've been smoking a lot, so it happens. Today's workout should be more or less chill. I'm going to focus on having as perfect form as possible, and then I also want to be going a little bit slow. So the idea is to not not like slow motion exercises, but more so just making it to where I am very intentional in how I move. Um, I guess quick personal update this year so far. I would say things have been getting better and better. I'm super excited about what's coming up in this next chapter. This last week, I did a therapy exercise where it had suggested to list out all the characteristics that you respect in other people, whether it's characteristics typical of men, women, and just find these different items and kind of take a mental inventory of myself to find out, like, okay, well, what are the things that I can work on? What are the things I'm pretty good at? And it was something of a, I guess, reflection to kind of set the stage for where should I put my focus towards. I gotta say, was surprisingly healing because I was able to see where my stress and trouble and challenges were at, and I was also able to see where it was that the things that I was striving towards and that I desired and that I wanted that maybe I never achieved, I was able to realize a lot of that was actually pretty close within my reach, and I get to practice that now. So this weekend, it is actually Orthodox Christmas this weekend, and so holiday here in Serbia. And what I'll be spending my time doing is planning out Q1, breaking things down. And my goal is that this is the third year of 5 years of focus, and I want to each year is kind of about something different. I knew out of 5 years it's probably going to be one fuck up year, and that was year number two. Good God, 2022 was bad. At the same time, it's over. It's now 2023. So year one was about learning. Year two was the let's call it the crash. Year three is going to be building. This is where I get to build for the first time. And one of the things I want to implement is that I have a weekly, kind of almost like how in Web3 projects have their own roadmap. I want to have a personal roadmap, something where I can see and I can break down exactly what am I doing at work, what projects am I working on, okay, what are my goals at work, what am I supposed to be achieving, what am I studying in my personal life, like, and then personal studies is a wide range. There's personal from like the emotional and relationship side. There's the data science and quantitative finance side. There's the just life and culture and language side of things. And then also on top of that, what am I building? What am I making? So I right now I'm studying programming, and so I want to create a dashboard. I want to create a system that takes a bunch of technical indicators, but creates some pretty cool visualizations from them, so I can practice playing with different types of data viz software and integrating that into systems. Basically, what kind of data might be under the surface. I digress. So this weekend, I'm going to build that. And while I'm exercising today, I'm going to be focusing on and thinking about the character traits of integrity and of loyalty. Integrity meaning that somebody who is, they have certain standards. Integrity makes it to where a person stays within those. During this exercise, I'm going to be reflecting on, well, what are the standards that I want to be setting for this year? What are the standards that I expect of others around me? What are the things that I can be doing to develop myself in these standards? And then when it comes to loyalty, I'm going to consider, like, what does it mean to be loyal to one's country, to one's family, to one's culture, whatever it might be. And that's typically a level of selflessness. And that's a tough situation. I think that's tough for a lot of people to do because it requires letting go. So I want to be thinking about this concept of loyalty because I think it's pretty of interesting perspective on the concept of loyalty, specifically coming down to, I think that everyone is loyal to something. You know, let's say somebody is just a grumpy atheist, like an evangelical atheist, the kind of atheist that thinks that everyone else needs to be an atheist for some reason. Um, that person may not actually worship atheism, but they pledge loyalty to the idea of their beliefs. And when a person prioritizes certain things more than other things, that is an indication of where our loyalty lies. So, someone who's very, very negative, if they're in a positive, choosing to be negative, that's where their loyalty lies. Their loyalty is to the negative. And if I look back at my life, there was definitely some times that I was a negative, grumpy fucking bastard. Like at one point, basically prided myself on my cynicism. So I digress, but it's something where I'm going to make it a habit that every single day I just pick two, maybe three different character traits and I reflect on them throughout the day. I look for them inside of myself. I monitor and I analyze how I'm doing with it. I look for them in others and I see, maybe I find examples of people that are doing really well with these things. Maybe I see examples of people aren't doing so well with these things and I can learn and find out how to become better in the future. Overall, it's something that these are the types of habits I want to create. So, being more specific, creating a schematic, like a week by week plan for my life, and always looking at things, what's going on in the next quarter, what's happening this month, what's happening this week, and all of that is being dragged by the what I want to accomplish by the end of the year. And of course, those things can adjust, and there's going to be flexibility, and sometimes I'm going to be ahead of schedule, sometimes I'm going to be behind schedule. But the idea is that by setting these targets, it makes sure I can guide myself in the right direction. So that and constant self-assessment, self-correction should be all right. So that is enough of me distracting myself from this exercise. I do still try to self-sabotage, but it's also why I'm doing these live streams because the camera's pointing at me. It's a lot more difficult to make excuses to not work out. So let's get it done.
Manifest the moment. There are many people out there in the world that don't have the capabilities that you have to carry on the good fight. There are things that are happening around us every day. The things that are happening to us right now happens for a reason. What you are going through right now, someone else is going through it in a different manner. But we always ask the question,
3, 2,
why me?
1, go.
One,
Why is this happening to me?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1.
Everybody wants destiny. Everybody wants humanity, wants the next level and the relationship and a higher quality of living.
5, 6,
But nobody wants to eliminate distractions. Nobody wants to disappear for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and eliminate all distractions and get into a place where you can focus on just you. What if you could just shut out every distraction? What if you could just shut out the world for just a season and focus on you?
Winning requires focus. Winning requires intention. Winning requires discipline. Is the external reward of mastering your inner game.
Are you in a position to go harder? Are you in a position to go stronger? Are you willing to dig and go as far as you can in your life? Are you willing to suffer?
Can you hide yourself in your books? Can you hide yourself in your closet? Can you hide yourself in the prayer rooms? Can you hide yourself?
Not believing in yourself is a losing battle because either you won't try at all or you will convince yourself that you can't do it.
I'm talking to that man, that woman, that boy, that girl who feels the fire in their belly. It's time for you to shock the world.
Success don't have many. Success doesn't hold on to many people. Success doesn't connect with everybody because everybody doesn't have the ability to connect to success.
When nobody's looking, when nobody's watching, when nobody understands the measure of passion that you carry. Can you keep going? Don't stop. You're right there.
You have to shift from being externally focused to internally focused.
One.
Do not yield to distraction. Focus on you.
2.
Why are you here? What is your destiny? One of the great tragedies in life is to live
4.
and not know why you're living.
If you're walking on this earth today, prepare yourself for many battles ahead.
5.
And you're not going to win every battle, because every battle is not meant to be won. Sometimes you're going to need to humble yourself.
6.
What do you believe about you? How do you talk to you about you? Take a moment to think about what you've been saying to yourself about yourself. The good news is that your mind will believe whatever you tell it. So make sure that you are speaking your desires and not your
8.
fears. You get to choose how your mind serves you.
Sometimes you got to delete the app. Sometimes you have
9.
to walk away. Sometimes you have to fall back into the dark room and focus on you.
10.
Are you prepared to go through the nights of many hours of applying everything you have within yourself? Have you had that point in your life when you was just so tired and you couldn't push that next hour or that second hour out because you needed your sleep? Oh, I need to catch up on my sleep. You can't catch up on your sleep, but going up to the next level in your life, that's what it's about.
I'm talking to that athlete. I'm talking to that nurse, that doctor. I'm talking to that student. I'm just wondering if there's anybody here that wants their future, that wants to fulfill their destiny, that wants to manifest, that wants to walk in discipline. I'm just wondering, is there anybody here that's willing to disappear and focus on you?
3.
Wealthy people, first they get into stocks, then they start a business,
4.
then they get real estate. Owning a stock is like it's owning a percentage of a great business. The people who aren't
5.
wealthy is because they don't own nothing.
Ah.
You only have your money sitting in cash. If your money is just sitting in cash, realistically, you're becoming poorer every day. The key to wealth is through ownership.
Goddamn crux of life right there.
At about 9 or 10, I saw my mom get shot in front of my face. My early years were surrounded with violence. I saw my mom selling drugs. I saw my mom robbing. I saw my mom get robbed. I saw her get shot, and then she later on went to prison. Right, so I saw that early. At 14, my mom was in prison, and I lost my grandmother, which was who I was living with at the time. 14, I'm homeless. I'm just on survival mode. Like the world, I just want to get to the next day. I want to make as much money as I can so I can crack. So at 16, I go to prison for attempted armed robbery. But in prison, I had a fight with two of my homies. In prison, we fight for like 4 hours. It's back to back. I'm just fighting one after another one. Like we just fight. And I go to solitary confinement.
6.
And at this time, all these parish prisons is considered like one of the worst parish prisons in the United States of America, right? And
7.
I go to the cell and I meet this white guy. That was the turning point of my life.
8.
It was like, man,
Oh,
listen,
why is that so tough?
there's a game that's being played. And you're playing a game that you can't
I've
win.
always been taking risks, yeah.
For a minute, I just started thinking about the people who I knew that was in the streets. Everybody lost. Everybody suffered the same thing. He has on a red and white man at the time. The red and white man means you're in federal custody first three things was he said, listen, man, wealthy people do three things, man. They stop trading time for money. They make their money work for them, and they give as much value to people as they can. We got a little deep into that. He said, the reason why you give people so much value is because if you give them so much value, they'll never leave you. They'll always be for definitely. You will never need for anything as long as you give value to people. And so I learned that as I got older. That part really didn't make sense to me at the time. But the money working for you part, and I was like, what the? How do you make the money work for you? Again, all I know is how to go get money. That's all I know. So later on in that, he says wealthy people do three things. So this may be in itself about 45 days. Every conversation with him about money and transition was always wealthy people do. So he says wealthy people, first they get into stocks, then they start a business, and then they get real estate. So when people ask me how do I get into stocks, it's because I follow that route. And so I just, my rest of my time in prison, I wanted to be that. I wanted to be a part of that wealthy conversation. And so what happened to me was it started reminding me of being in the streets. Everything about it. And I heard this term one time that said the real gangsters are on Wall Street. The real gangsters are the government. And I was like, damn. The reason why people think wealthy people or people with money are sinister is because that's what you kind of taught in the hood. Like you kind of taught like the people who really have money, like they did some wicked to get it. They did some backstabbing and cut get it, and you'll never get that, right? And so that same mentality now happens on a lower level, right? The hustling, the dope dealer. So now you think like, yo, I gotta just do sinister to get money. And then the people who are successful in the drug game, they're looking at the people at the top like, damn, I want to be that. But the people at the bottom will never get a taste of that. And so now we just kind of living off ambition. And so now the people who are in the middle who work in, they're like, oh, them people with money, they all crooks. Because being at the bottom teaches you to envy people at the top. It just happens. It's something that brews down there, right? It's kind of like you cook. I don't know if you had gumbo before, right? But it's kind of when you cook food, right? The base goes to the bottom. And so most people live in that bottom, never knowing how they'll get up there, right?
I remember, so when I was working in the inner cities, I remember having this moment where I was like, wait a second, this is not an intelligence problem. Intelligence is evenly distributed. I remember saying to my wife, the next fucking Elon Musk is going to be found somewhere in Compton. The problem is he doesn't believe in himself. And so he's not going to do anything. And so I became obsessed with this idea that generational poverty is not about money. It's about mindset. Now, it will manifest as money, but it is that. So I remember I had one kid come to me, and I was the first person that told him, you can be successful. Like, what? Why do you not think you can be successful? It didn't even make sense to me. And he was like, well, my mom always told me that the world didn't want to see people that look like me succeed. 11. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I'm like, even if your mom had good intentions, that is the worst advice ever. 11. Because if you think you can't be successful, that will govern the way that you move. Right, so Kobe Bryant, people that have listened to me for a while have heard this quote 1,000 times. But boos don't block dumps. The world can hate you all they want, but if you're good enough, think about this: the best basketball players in the world were paid millions of dollars to stop Kobe Bryant from scoring, and scored 81 points in a single game. 81 points. We've got 5 people paid millions of dollars actively trying to stop you, and they can't because you've gotten that good. That to me is the game of money. People can not want you to succeed all they want, but if you out-invest them, they can't stop you. So if people are not encouraging you to read, you're not going to read.
What happens is now, no one now believes that it's possible. Once you keep passing that down, you start accepting the lower level. And then there's a few of us, or a few people who say, no, I'm an outlier, yo, like, I'm about to go for it. And then whatever happens, I'm with it.
All right, so that was the warm-up round. I'm going to do a stretch. My cardio workout from a few days ago, I don't feel the soreness. I'm wondering, I took a freezing shower afterwards. I wonder if that perhaps helped. But I didn't feel it, but I definitely feel it when I'm exercising. So I'm going to do a nice deep stretch, loosen up everything, maybe pop out, make sure to protect my body. This workout was actually really cool because those things where I go backwards and I do a stand-up. That was the exercise. Like this is the assisted, like the easy version. The normal version of those was how I blew out my hip the last time, and it's cool because doing the assisted stand-ups, I've been probably doing those 2 or 3 times a week for months. I mean, maybe 2 months now. And today was the first time that when I'm getting up, I actually felt strong. I could feel a muscle there. I could push that muscle, and I could feel myself as being stable. While before it was very shaky. And so I'm excited to see that even though it hasn't really felt like I've gotten stronger with that workout, but I can see I definitely have gotten stronger. And I think that's a funny thing about life, why working out is so beneficial. It helps bring us back to reality that things take time. We don't usually see the progress along the way. That doesn't mean that there isn't progress happening. I guess farming does the same thing, but it's a lot faster to exercise. All right, let's get this stretch on.
You feel me? So for me, again, one of the greatest things that happened to me was my mother telling me like the world is wrong and you got to get how you live. But I also saw my grandmother be a legal entrepreneur. So I saw it from both worlds. So while I'm in prison, I pick up a habit of reading. That was the game changer. On the streets, I never had an opportunity to just sit down and read because I'm always trying to survive. In prison, there was no longer a survival mode there. I started hustling in prison, so I was working in the laundry, and so your clothes don't really get clean. So I found a hustle like, yo, I'll wash your clothes when we do it, but it's $5 or $25 a month. So that gave me a whole another set of money, and then I started being like a numbers dude. How Vegas have the numbers, the betting. I became a numbers guy. So I used to get up in the mornings and watch CNBC. So now you people in prison, they love to watch the Young and the Restless. And so I would have to get up before them to watch like Squad Box and Jim Cramer. I was like, damn, all this money. And they not risking their life. Something gotta change for me. Something gotta change. And so I just started listening to them every day and I started comparing it to the streets. A good business is just like a good hustler. A good business has great product. They have great clientele. A great hustler has a great product. He has consistent clientele. A good business on the stock market has what's called a moat, a competitive edge that keeps his competitors away. A good hustler on the street is going to have that competitive edge where they be like, nah, yo, I ain't rocking with you. I'm going to just wait till trap come back, right? So there's the competitive edge. A good business has a good branding moat. My name is good, right? So a good hustler on the street, yo, Trap got that blue magic. I'm good on you. Like if I can't get Trap, I'm gonna just go Trap. But Trap got that blue magic. That's what I'm rocking with. Branding move, right? That's it. A great business on the stock market has more assets, more liquidity than debt. A good hustler on the street is if you don't learn how to fund your business, if you're operating where all you have is re-up money, you're not gonna last long. So those components reminded me the same on the stock market, in the world. If a company's paying tariffs, that's equivalent to a dude on the street going pay draft to go hustle in somebody's hood. Like you can't hustle over here unless you pay me draft. It's the same as a tariff. It's the same thing. Yeah. So once I broke the game down to a way that I can understand it, it wasn't about me just being brilliant. It was like, yo, how do I make the game winnable for me? Like once you start understanding the fundamentals, you give yourself power because you now understand, like you said, you see how the machine works, right? And so most people look at the machine and marvel and say either, like most people look at the stock market. Most 98% of the people who I know look at the stock market and say, "Yo, that's not a game I can play. I'm staying away from it." And so the way it's set up is the world is set up. Well, listen, cool. I don't even want you to play it. Just give me your money. I'll play it for you. So we look at like banks, like we understand that banks don't necessarily work in our favor, right? So banks only give 0.05% interest on the money we have there. But we can get 8% just by putting our money in the index fund. So why would I just sit my money in the bank and let the bank make all the money? Because all they're gonna do is invest the money for you. So they now operating as the plug. They operate now as the man who I'm gonna front you this. I'm gonna make my money. I'm gonna take the cut. I'm gonna give you just enough to keep coming back. I want to go to the plug. Who's the plug? The stock market. The relationship with money in my community is you make money just enough to pay bills. And so once you get tired of paying bills, you say, you know what? I need to treat myself to something, right? No matter if I got to go in debt, no matter if I need to treat myself to something to take this misery away. So you treat yourself to something that you can't afford at the time, right? But it makes you feel good in the moment. And so because it makes you feel good, you say, you know what? I'm living. This is a reprieve from everyday struggle. So that's the mindset comes in and say, everybody around me had the same problem. No one represented the solution. So if I don't change something, I'm only going to end up like everybody else I know. Somebody has the solution somewhere. There's too many people out here living the life of their dreams that I'm watching. They know something I don't know. And the only thing that they had was access to a different type of information. In 2010, this after I'm home from prison, right? I'm home from prison. I'm back in the streets hustling. Because even though I have the information, I don't have the money, right? And I'm like, well, I got to get the money. My door gets kicked in 2010. They get 8 pounds of weed, $10,000. Yeah, by the cops. 8 pounds of weed, $10,000, a 223, a 40 with extended clip and a beam, and 100 X bills. So the cop tells me, you ain't learned your lesson. You ain't learned your lesson. And I was like, damn, that wasn't right. Like, I got knowledge, I got information, but I still fell victim to the same shit that everybody around me knew. So therefore, the knowledge that I had wasn't powerful because it wasn't applied. So I was fortunate. God bless me. I wound up getting found out guilty because it's called fruit of a poisonous tree. So they kicked in my door, but they didn't have probable cause because they stopped me in my truck, didn't find nothing on me. So they went to my house, kicked the door in with no search warrant. So now everything you find is null and void. So now I get into the robbing game. So now I start robbing dope dealers. And I got in a situation where I was good at it. Me and my partner, God bless us soul. And then one day I almost got killed. And I go to my partner and I say, bro, I guess I'm done deal. But when they kicked my door in, something happened. So they took my truck. They took my money. But they didn't mess up my stock account.
Oh, shit.
Started working as an iron worker, building stadiums, building power plants. It's crazy because I was making good money. $2,000 a week, that's good money to some. Like, yo, $2,000 a week, yo, that's it. $2,000, $2,500, like, it was amazing. I started saving and investing 70% of my money. I was living bare minimum. I was like, if I'm gonna change, I gotta make like the hard choices. It's hard for people to make sacrifice because you gotta now go against and do without some of the things that gives you that momentary gratification. That simple, that's what keeps you alive. That's what keeps you going. Just to go on vacation one time a year, to get these pair of shoes that may cost me $1,000. No, I can't afford them, but I've worked so hard. I need that just to keep giving something.
You have a phrase, Wall Street looks like us now.
Wall Street looks like us now.
There's another phrase you say, but you should like put that same like stamp on it, is I own that.
I own that.
Because you talk about stocks in a way that sounds so rad, where it's like, you refer to yourself as an owner of the companies.
Yes.
And the thing is, it actually is true. Like, you're not playing a linguistic game. It is true. But people don't think about it like that. But it's so much more powerful than having a cool pair of kicks is to say, I own the company that makes those kicks, or I own the company that makes that phone, or, you know, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, works for me. I'm a shareholder, right? Yeah. It's really, really powerful. Explain that basic idea of ownership for people that might not quite put it together, that stocks really are owning that company.
So I actually got that term from Warren Buffett in one of his meetings. I want to say it was a 1995 shareholder meeting. And he said that he owning a stock is like it's owning a percentage of a great business. And so once I understood that concept, I understood that the key to wealth is through ownership. The people who aren't wealthy is because they don't own nothing. You only have your money sitting in cash. If your money is just sitting in cash, realistically, you're becoming poorer every day.
right? Or they own depreciating assets.
And that's what cash is. It's a depreciating asset because the more money they print, the more money that money loses value. So if it's just sitting, it's the reason why the bank wants you to have your money there. So they can take it and use it and invest it so much and be like, hey, it's just sitting, I'm gonna give you 50 cents on whatever you had in there. And so the idea of ownership was, we can just start owning everything that no matter if it's just a stock. Like, that's powerful. Because if you can start owning the businesses that you now consume every day, you turn a one-time transaction to a lifetime of profit. And that was major for me. Because if I go to the store and buy a pair of Nikes, that's a one-time transaction. In order for me to get something from them again, I gotta come back and buy another pair of Nikes. But if I own the Nike stock, as long as I own it, it's a profitable vehicle for me. So that one-time transaction can become a lifetime of profit if I own that business. If I'm gonna buy Apple, if I know I'm an Apple user, if I know I got the phone, I got the AirPods, I got the MacBook, I got the PC, I'm excited when Apple's about to drop something. Why wouldn't I own it? As much of it as I can, right? Like if I understand that concept, if I know America has one of the biggest trash problems in the world, right? So if I know that waste management is a company that's going to be here forever, because you aren't going to stop throwing things away, why don't I own that company? Because I know everybody throws things away. And so now, instead of me getting excited about Apple Line being around the corner because it's a new phone, I'm like, y'all want to make me some money. Right? So when I hear a company like Waste Management has bought 40 acres of disposable land for another landfill, I'm excited about that. And another great thing about the stock market is, for me, it now makes me pay attention to the world. And so now I understand what's going on in the world. I started learning business cycles, market cycles. You know what I'm saying? Like, because now I can understand, this is okay. Things are going out of business. Okay, we're in this cycle. Okay, people are hiring. Okay, we're in expansion cycle. And so now I took an economic class on my own without just understanding the world. And so you start understanding when something is happening in China. Okay, something happening in China, so I own Apple. Apple has 20% of their revenue in China. Okay, they might take a little hit right now. You know what I'm saying? So the stock market helped me start understanding how the world moves, the fundamentals. Knowledge is what gives us leverage in life. It's not about how strong you are. It's about what you can learn. And then how can you actively apply that? I have this acronym called FEAR. Finally exiting average reality. Right?
Finally exiting average reality.
Until we can overcome fear. Some people actually fear success. Success comes with a lot. Right? But until you can overcome that average reality that you live in, no matter what you're on, once you become comfortable there, it becomes average. Anyone can live in average. Everyone can live in mediocrity. Right? Then there's those outliers who consistently push themselves to go to the next level. And the thing about the human mind and the human body, it will go as far as you push it. As long as you believe in it. Like you said, the only belief that matters is, what do you believe you can do? I personally believe that there is nothing I cannot do. And for me, it's all about impact, purpose, fulfillment. Like, the money is a byproduct of everything else. That isn't my focus. My focus is I have a knowledge and information that I know that can change lives. Not just one life, not just like lives. And so the way that you change lives is by consistently learning, finding new ways to put that information out there, being able to open up, being able to be vulnerable, because people need to connect. People connect to knowledge in the way that they can see two things that help people: imagery and vocabulary. So for me, it's always about, how do I attain as much? It's always a challenge for me. How can I attain as much knowledge as I can? Because I love learning, but then how do I take that and be able to now reciprocate or give it to somebody who may not understand calculus or trigonometry? But if I can give it to them in this way, they can say, oh yeah, I got it. And there's more people that struggled in the world that has become successful. So struggle has to become a language that I struggle. So that's the language I'm great at. So if I can break down things into a struggle language, now I make it the game winnable for everybody.
What do you say to people that don't think they have enough money to invest?
So the important thing for me to tell them is, start where you are. You build a house brick by brick. If we look back at our situation, you see you inherited that whatever it is, that poverty. You inherited that mindset, that idea of scarcity, that idea that you don't have enough money. You inherited that. Building wealth becomes a revolutionary act because now you start saying, I'm going to go against what I was taught, right? And so I say, if I start with $25, if you can do $25 a month, that's cool. If you can do $25 a week, that's cool. But what happens is, once you start understanding the power of how your money works, you start saying, yo, I don't need to do that because that's taken away from this. That 25 will now become $50. Guaranteed. That 50 will now become 100 because you're going to start doing more with less. That's your first shot. It don't have to be a winner. It doesn't have to be a home run. It can be an AT&T stock that costs $26 right now. It may not be the best investment in the world, but you start. Right? And the great thing about anything is you can't be great if you never go to practice. You can't hit 81 if you never get in the gym. So just get in the gym and then find somebody who can teach you. Be dedicated to understand the process. You have to understand the power in learning and being educated.
Strength, leadership, power, authority, guidance, patience are God's gift to us as men.
Hundreds of people give up on their goals on a daily basis. And it's usually because they realized quickly after starting their journeys that they're alone. Nobody's waking them up in the morning. Nobody's pushing them when they start to make excuses. And nobody's patting them on the back when they hit a milestone. Stop relying on outside sources of inspiration, motivation, and support to get you there. Put your goddamn head down and take charge in life.
True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you. Sit beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. You can't get it because you want it. If you put in the work, they can't deny it. If you put in the work, they can't stop it.
Be great. Pursue your own version of happiness.
Life always offers you a second chance. You know what it's called? Tomorrow. For far too long, you've been holding yourself back. It's time for you to walk with purpose. It's time for you to walk into your gift. It's time for you to live your best life.
It's wrapped in your capacity, your ability to believe in a dream, even if nobody believes in you.
To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did.
If every time you go to better yourself, somebody hits you with a line like, why would you want to do that? You need to find another social circle.
If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything. I want to fall forward. Figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to get. We did not come this far to just break down the rules now. I'm winning. I'm going to win.
I'm telling you, the one thing you cannot get back is time. It is your greatest asset. I'd give somebody some of my money for a couple more years to be with my wife. Time is the greatest enemy. You thinking it's infidelity. The greatest enemy. You thinking it as finances. You thinking it as in-laws. You thinking that it's differences. No, no, no. It is time. We've got to learn how to steward our time. We got to learn to tend to it, guard it, keep it. I just want to make sure that the life we got left, that is sweeter than the life that if I would give up or if I wasn't focused and I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. So when you've been with somebody since you're 16 years old and they got a chronic illness, don't you know it's easy for me to go drink? It's rough. My life, it ain't what it used to be before she got sick. Like while God is blessing her, she still got MS. I lost 5 pounds of cancer. You don't think I could have smoked some weed? You don't think when I was going through that process, I couldn't have broke? But you talked about it. Mental toughness. It is in those times we have to be stronger than we've ever been before. Why? Because they need us more than they ever needed us before. And you guys are blessed in that you are the 1%ers. Not only many people want to be in your life, who want the life that you have, and you got it, and you're not taking it serious? Like, you know how many people would die to have this life? You know how many people would die to be on the field on Sunday? You know how many people would die to eat the way y'all eat? You know how many people would die to have the gear y'all got? You know how many people would die to get on?
Holy crap. That was a super intense stretch. I did not realize how fucking sore I was. So I'm going to split the workout up into two pieces because, wow, yeah, that was intense. And it's the weekend, so I can be more flexible. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to do 5 quick push-ups. And actually, you know what? No, I'm just going to do that off camera. I'm going to finish this. So anyways, this is part 1 of today's workout. And I'll be back later on today to do part 2. Thanks for watching. Bye for now, y'all.